Okay, let's see if we can get you guys ready for the Unit 2 test by looking at the review practice. All right, so number one, it says a group of people were asked their favorite flavor of ice cream. Now the instructions say to create a bar graph. So we have to remember what a bar graph is. A bar graph is where you have the flavors of ice cream. These are going to be your categories, which is going to be your x-axis, and your frequency, which is going to be your y-axis. Okay. All right, so this is your y-axis down here, and this is your x-axis. So these are going to be your ice cream flavor, and this will be the number of people. Okay. Now in a bar graph, the bars are going to be the same width, and there's going to be a space in between them. So, and traditionally what we do is we start with the one with the highest, but before we do that we need to figure out how we're going to scale this frequency. So let's see, the highest number is 41. So let's see, if I go up, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Okay, so if I go up by 5s each time, so this will be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and 45. I don't need to go up to 50, but I do need to include everything below that. Okay. And we traditionally start with the highest one on the left and go down to the smallest. So I am going to start, the highest one is vanilla. So I'm going to make this one vanilla. And this bar needs to go up to 41, so just a little bit over 40. And there's my bar for vanilla. The next highest one is cookies and cream. So I'm going to call this C&C, cookies and cream, and it needs to go up to 38. So on here it's going to go a little bit below 40. And there's my bar for cookies and cream. The next highest one is going to be chocolate. Can't believe that anything beat out chocolate. So my chocolate is going to go up to 32, so just a little bit over 30. And of course you're going to estimate these the best you can. And you'll create a bar for that. The next highest one is going to be strawberry. So I will do a bar, and I'm having to abbreviate here. This is going to be strawberry. And it will only go up to 15. Whoops, I never did learn how to color inside the line. Our next one is going to be Rocky Road. And it's going to be 13, so it's going to be a little bit below here. So here's your Rocky Road. And I'll abbreviate it RR. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm out of highlighter colors. So, oh my gosh, I guess I'll have to go back to green. So bubblegum will be 11. So that's going to be, again, just a little bit above 10. And we'll call this bubble. So there's a bar graph. And you can see it goes from highest to lowest. If you don't put them in order from highest to lowest, it's not the end of the world. But you do have to remember that the bars are all the same width, and there's a space in between them. How wide they are doesn't matter. The space in between them doesn't matter. But the scaling of the y-axis is important, and then your categories are down here. Okay. So for part B, it asks how many people were surveyed. So you just add them up. So this is the total of the people. So if you add all these up, they polled 150 people. All right, so our next one here, it asks us to find a line graph. Okay, so a line graph, we don't have, well, we can have categories, but we're going to have our years, and this is going to be our x-axis. So the year is going to be on our x-axis, and then our frequency which is our y-axis. So this is the number of 100-degree days. Now you would think this year set a record, but it did not. Okay, the 2011 is still the record. Okay, so let's see, if I do the years, and I'm just going to put a dot, so let's call this 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so I can call this 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and finally 2020. Now the number of days, I need to go all the way up to 71. So if I scale by 5, that's not going to work like I did on my other graph. So let's see if we fit, if we go up by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay. So I'll go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. Okay, so in 2011, we had 71. In 2012, we had 34. I have to remember where I'm putting my dot, that this scale goes from 30 to 40, so 34 is a little less than half. In 2013, there were 28, so it's going to be a little less than 30. 2014, there were 15. 2015, there were also 15. 2016, we went back up to 18. 2017, we went down to 10. 2018, we made it to 23. 2019, we went to 14. And finally, in 2020, there were 9. So now all I do is connect my dots. And I want to make sure I use a straight edge on this. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can use your ID or a credit card or, anything. You don't have to go buy a ruler. Just some kind of a straight edge. And you will connect your dots. I hope you can still see this. But the big thing here to remember is about scaling your graph. So you have to, and figuring out, usually if the column on the left goes on your x-axis and the column on the right goes on your y-axis. And we'll talk about dependence here in a little bit. Okay. All right, so now for this graph, we want to state the coordinates of the points graphed, and then we also want to plot some points. Okay, so we want to remember on here that this is our x coordinate, this is our y, and to the right is positive, to the left is negative. Above the axis is positive, below is negative. So if we want to mark these points, point E starting at the origin, that means you go 7 to the left and your coordinates are always your x, y. So starting at the origin, we went 7 to the left and up 1, which means the coordinates of this point are -7, 1. The coordinates of this point from the origin, we went to the 2 to the left, so that means it's -2, and we didn't go up or down at all, so it's -2, 0. And also remember that anything on the x-axis has a y-coordinate of 0. To find this point from the origin, I didn't go left or right at all, but what I did do was go down 6. So the coordinates of this point are 0, -6. Again, remembering any point on the y-axis has an x-coordinate of 0. This point here, we went to the right 3 and up 5, so the coordinates of this point are 3, 5. And I think our last one here, this point go to the right 6 and down 3, so that means the 6 is positive and the 3 is negative. Okay, so now on the same grid we want to plot these points. So 6, 0 means I go to the right 6 and I don't go up or down at all. So from the origin I go to the right 6 and that's where I put my dot, and that will be point F. For point G, I go to the left 4 and I go down 5 in order to find this point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 5. So this is point G. For H, I don't go left or right at all, but I do go up 7. So this is my point H. Notice it's on the y-axis, so the x-coordinate is 0. This is on the x-axis, so the y-coordinate is 0. And then our last point, J, the -5 tells me I go 5 to the left and up 6. So from the origin, 5 to the left and up 6, and there is my point J. Okay. All right, to determine if an ordered pair is a solution to an equation, recall that this is an x and this is a y. So I'm going to plug that in to each of these points into here and see if it makes it true. If it's true, it is a solution. So if I start out with so for part A, -5 times x minus 7 times y, and I want to know if that's equal to 13. Well, my x is -4 and my y is 1. So -5 times -4 is 20. 7 times 1 is 7. And that does equal 13. This is true. So yes, it is a solution, which means it is a point on the line. For B, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plug the values in and see if it makes it true. So this again is my x, and this is my y. So I want to know if negative 5 times 1 minus 7 times negative 1 is equal to 13. Well, negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Negative 7 times negative 1 is a positive 7. That does not equal 13. This is false. So no, it is not a solution. Okay. I'm not sure that I left myself enough room here for number 5, so we'll just wait and see. All right, I want to find the x and y intercepts for each equation and write them as ordered pairs. All right, so that remembers for the x-intercept, the y is 0. For the y-intercept, x is 0. So for the x-intercept, I'm going to let y equal 0, which means that I have negative 2 times x plus 8 times 0 equals 12. So negative 2x is equal to 12. When I divide by negative 2, I get that x equals negative 6. Now it also says here to write them as ordered pairs. So this is negative 6, 0. For the y-intercept, I'm going to let x equal 0. So that gives me negative 2 times 0 plus 8 times y is equal to 12. So 8y is equal to 12. When I divide by 8, I get that y is 12 over 8. Both of those are divisible by 4, which is 3 over 2. So this is 0, 3/2. All right, so that's A. Let's do B, and then I'll probably have to get more paper to do C. Sorry about that. Okie dokie. So for my x-intercept, let y equal 0. So 7x minus 5 times 0 is negative 14. That gives me 7x is negative 14. When I divide by 7, that gives me x is negative 2. So it's negative 2, 0, because I want to write it as an ordered pair. For the y-intercept, I'm going to let x equal 0. So 7 times 0 minus 5y excuse me, is equal to negative 14. Negative 5y is negative 14. When I divide by negative 5, I get that y is equal to 14 over 5. Remembering that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So the point is 0, 14 over 5. Okay. And then for my third one, for C. So to find the x-intercept, I'm going to let y equal 0. So that's 12x minus 0 is equal to negative 24. 12x is equal to negative 24. So x is negative 2. So it's negative 2, 0. For the y-intercept, I let x equal 0. So that gives me 12 times 0 minus y is equal to negative 24. So negative y is equal to negative 24. Okay, well I want to remember here that this is the same thing as negative 1. So I'm going to divide by negative 1, and that gives me y equals 24. So the point is 0, 24. Okay, and I will stop here and start a new video here in a minute.